All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Angela Smith.
And I'm Homeboy.
And we are with Gigify Work. Today, we are talking about early warning signs for burnout. So, what are early warning signs? What we're talking about with these is not the symptoms that you're going to notice when you're full-fledged burnt out, but the signs that'll come a little bit earlier down the path that if you recognize them, you can actually start to recover a little bit sooner or maybe prevent a significant or serious burnout.
Yeah. And it's important to talk about them because, once you hit kind of the wall, as we call it, kind of the burnout stage, where you're kind of displaying all of the three major symptoms of burnout of exhaustion and cynicism and inefficacy. Really not
That's
remembering
my
lesson today. Thank you. Once you hit the wall and hit those three major symptoms, it might be too late because the recovery process could take a really long time. It could take up to 2 years. And we've been there ourselves, and we know how hard of a climb that is.
These are like those road markers up the road,
Yeah.
catching it earlier, heading it off and disrupting the cycle so that it doesn't get so bad. You don't get so toasted. We always use the example of toast in a toaster. Burnout, you're like black and crispy. You're burnt big time.
Yeah.
We're trying to catch you when you're toasting, and you can kind of interrupt it then.
Yeah.
So that's why they matter, because they can shorten that recovery time, right? So let's talk through some examples of early warning signs. There's one of yours that I absolutely love, and it's just this really concrete example.
Right.
And it's that you, like, Hung will catch herself like kind of suddenly sighing a lot during the day. So taking a really deep breath in.
It's like I've forgotten to breathe.
Yeah.
Like
Which is funny,
I just catch myself, oh my God, it feels like I haven't breathed properly for a long time. So I'd be like, right? And it's totally not me. And that's, I think, one of the maybe common thread throughout all of these warning signs is that it's not your usual self. Like you normally don't behave this way. What about you?
For me, it's a couple of things. So sleep is a big one for me. When I start staying up really, really late at night, working a lot, not being able to fall asleep, my brain is really busy. That's usually a sign for me that I'm heading into the path of, work overtaking my life, making me, not take care of myself as well as I should. So that's usually an early warning sign for me. The odd late night, no problem. But if I catch myself working late every single night in a week, that's like, okay, and you're on the path to burnout. Something needs to change.
Yeah.
And a lot of internal dialogue. I think that mine is a little bit, some of that is kind of this internal struggle. But an external sign for me is irritability as well. So I'm usually a pretty calm, chill person. I pride myself in being pretty patient with my daughter. But there are times when if I am really irritable, so I have these like snap reactions to things where I go from 0 to 100. That's an early warning sign for me too. It means that my mind is busy chewing on something, and everything around me is like an interruption or a disruption to that thought process. And so I just like react really feisty and fiery. And that's just out of personality for me, generally speaking. So that would be one of my early warning signs too.
Yeah. I'm smiling because I'm relating to some of what you're saying, not because, I think any of it is funny. Yeah, I think for me, the sleep is definitely there too. Like for me, I would feel so tired and desperately like always constantly thinking about when can I get to bed. But the moment my head hits the pillow, that's when it's like, boom, like everything comes online, like what are the to-do lists, replaying the whole day, thinking about what's happening next, and not being able to fall asleep, which is very unusual for me. My husband always jokes like, like I'll say, oh, I can't sleep, and 2 seconds later he can hear me snoring.
Yeah,
like, so.
You probably fall asleep before your head hits
really
the pillow.
really fast.
And mine will be a little bit like in the morning. I'm not a morning person. I love to just lay in bed. I don't wake up at the crack of dawn. So an early warning sign for me would be when I am waking up at the crack of dawn and my brain is like, it's been waiting for me to wake up all night long, and as soon as I wake up, it throws a whole lot at me in terms of thoughts to get me geared up for the day and trying to like get me moving. I'm cycling up. It's almost like I'm trying to get everything done, and that's usually an indicator.
We hear a lot about physical pain.
Yes,
as well,
that's a big one.
right? So chest pain, neck pain, back pain,
headaches.
headaches, stomach issues. I experience chest pain, and usually that comes with shortness of breath for me. And I had a couple clients who said that too. Like they feel like they can't take a full breath, and lots of medical tests and nothing comes back positive, right? So there's just something going on that's just causing you to have this constriction, this sense of tension, and not feeling like you can breathe properly.
Yeah, those physical symptoms are kind of scary too, right? So, but usually your body will tell you if something's not right. Another thing that comes to mind for me is almost wishing, this one, it always strikes me as a little bit scary or hard to hear, but wishing that something bad will happen. So it doesn't have to be something serious. In my case, it was more so this like intense desire to withdraw from any kind of social interactions. And so I often would catch myself wishing that I was like, I had a cold, so that I could just have a really good, easy to understand excuse to decline an invite to something or to cancel coming to something. I would almost kind of wish that I was not feeling great, and I could almost convince myself that I wasn't feeling well, just so that I had that reason, so that people wouldn't question, and then I could withdraw. That's another one that's pretty big for me. And I think I've heard other people say that too, like they wish that, you know, they could just have some kind of disruption or interruption in life that would get them out of work for a week or two, so that they could just take some time off and not have to deal with work for a little bit. Those kinds of things are pretty serious warning signs. And I think it's out of character, right? These are usually people who's like, even if you have a cold, you're gonna like, oh, what can I do to show up at work still? How can I still take care of things at work? And so when you're finding yourself looking for, you know, like if I could just get like a fall and kind of sprain my ankle or something like that, so that you can get out of, you can have a legitimate reason. You feel like you can finally drop all these balls that you've been juggling, so that you can kind of finally take off this pressure that you've been feeling, and that's been too much. That's definitely something to pay attention to. Escape it. So what do you do once you've identified these early warning signs? They're all individual, they're all different. It takes a lot of self-awareness, of understanding who you generally are, and then some of these out of characteristic type things that might show up when you're on the path to burnout. What do you do with them once you recognize them? I think a really important and powerful thing is to share it with people that are close to you, so that they can keep an eye out for you too. This was an incredibly important shift for me when I started telling people when I was kind of cocooning as my early warning sign. So, you know, like declining invites and maybe not responding to texts or phone calls. I actually started telling people, listen, when I start doing that, it's probably a sign that I'm not on a good path. So please just reach out or you know, check in or force me to tell you that I'm actually, or acknowledge that I'm actually cocooning right now. Because then it's not just me looking for these early warning signs, it's other people calling me out on them too. When they're aware of it, and they want to help us, right? They don't want to watch us go down that path. So that can be a really good thing to do once you've identified your own early warning signs.
And then the other thing I would say is set aside, like find some space, right? Even if it's 15 minutes a day or an hour a week, depending on your life circumstances and what's available to you, but set aside some space so that you can start doing something about it, right? Like don't put it off. Like this is the thing we hear all the time, is like, well, I'll do something about it, or I'll change once Christmas is over, or once the kids are back in school, or once this big project is done, or this really big event is taken care of, right? Like you don't have to set a condition to reach there, right? Like now is the perfect time to start with what's available to you, whether it's start working with a coach, or, you know, we have a really short course that we basically call it our Burnout First Aid course, right? It goes through really simple, quick, and very effective steps that you can take to address, you know, your burnout right away. So something like that could be really helpful. Or just if you've been burnout before and you know what it takes to go back, you're like, yeah, I need to start eating healthier. I need to make sure I sleep better. I need to make sure I work out. Like whatever is one of those, just one lever that you can pull right now. Set aside the time so that you can take care of that. Yeah, exactly. Use these early warning signs as a sign that you need to disrupt a cycle that's in place. So that you can avoid that burnout path. So we hope that's been helpful. This is one of our first series of videos that we want to talk about burnout. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you have any additional questions in the comment. And we look forward to hearing your feedback. Thanks so much,
everyone.